We just finished eating every single new item for the 2025 Epcot International Food and Wine Festival, and in today's video, we're sharing our picks for the 10 best. Plus, at the end of this video, we're going to share our picks for the best of the entire festival. So stick around, we got a lot of delicious details to divulge. Let's go do it. Hi-ho everybody, this is Rob with Ear Scouts coming to you from the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. We have been going all around this park, checking out the new kids on the block. No, not those new kids on the block. We're trying all the new food items that premiered at this year's festival. And now that we've eaten everything, we're going to share with you the things you need to put on your must-try list when you're here for the festival. Our first stop is in World Discovery, right behind Creation Shop. You're going to find two booths, including one food booth that is brand new to this year's festival. It is themed to the most popular ride in all of Epcot, Guardians of the Galaxy, and it is called Gyozas of the Galaxy. You're going to find some very inventive Asian fusion dumplings at this booth, including one that is on our list of the 10 best things to get at this festival. It is the buffalo style dumpling. This is basically like a mashup of buffalo hot chicken wings and Asian dumplings, and while that may be heresy, it is delicious heresy. This is one of the most delicious items we tried at this year's festival. If you're a big fan of hot chicken wings, you're gonna love these, especially if you like your wings with a little bit of blue cheese. This thing is bursting with the flavor of that buffalo sauce and the blue cheese. The chicken gets a little bit lost in the shuffle, but I'm kind of okay with that because the other flavors are so good. The veggies bring just a touch of sweetness from that carrot and some added crunch, and it lets you imagine that you're having something sort of healthy. I mean, there are fresh vegetables in there, right? If you wanted to add a second dumpling to your order here, we would recommend that French onion soup flavored dumpling. It actually kind of tasted like a mashup of French onion soup and Italian wedding soup because the meatball inside kind of had like an Italian wedding soup vibe going. It was good, but not nearly as good as those delicious buffalo style dumplings. Next door, you're going to find a returning food booth, Coastal Eats, where they focus on flavors from the sea. If you're a longtime viewer of our channel, you know that I am not a fan of flavors of the sea. If it swims, I don't generally like to eat it. Thankfully, the other half of Ear Scouts, Eric, was able to pinch hit for me, and he loves seafood. In fact, the seafood pot pie you're gonna find here was one of his favorite things he tried anywhere in this festival. It is super fishy. I tasted it. It has a very strong seafood flavor. So if you're not a fan of fishy things, you're probably not gonna want this one on your list. Eric, on the other hand, loved those fishy flavors. It comes in a creamy bisque base, so it's got a little bit of creamy richness to it, and of course there's that pastry on top, which makes it a little bit more indulgent as well. When we were going through our list of the top 10 picks, this was an early favorite for Eric, so if you're a seafood lover, put this one on your list. Our next stop is right next door at Connections Eatery. Now, if you didn't know this was a festival food item, you probably wouldn't figure it out from seeing it on the menu. It looks like it's just part of the regular menu here at Connections, but the French onion burger is listed in the festival food guide as a new item, so we're including it, even though it seems like maybe this is just an item that's going to continue to be on the menu. I honestly hope it does continue because it's really good. There's a couple things that are unique about this item in terms of festival offerings. Number one, this is a full meal. It's going to come with your choice of fries or coleslaw. You can even upgrade to the super delicious black garlic truffle fries, and those are worth the extra $2, believe me. We got ours with the coleslaw, and we actually were pretty good with that choice because it did cut against the richness of this burger. The burger itself is really thick and juicy. It's one of the better quick service burgers you're going to find at Disney World, but the star is that layer of caramelized onions. I mean, it's a big, thick layer of onion, and underneath that, you're going to find some ooey gooey, melty Gruyere cheese. This is a pretty classic combination of flavors, but it's a classic for a reason because all these things things go beautifully together. The brioche bun is the standard brioche bun you're gonna find on all of the different sandwiches here at Connections. Probably my favorite thing about this item though is that you can use mobile order. If you're here and you're finding that the lines for all the different food booths are massive like they are today, this is a great way to skip the line, order your burger on the app, and when it's ready, you can pop in and pick it up. Well, that was our last pick from World Discovery. Our next stop is the autumn-themed area of Harvest Hollow, which you're gonna find in World Celebration. It's kind of between Figment and World Showcase, and this is a lovely addition that they made to the festival last year. There's so much delicious food to find in there, including some food we're gonna talk about right now. This whole area is like a backyard barbecue party. You can smell those grills going. They're grilling all kinds of delicious treats. There are two different booths in this area that we're gonna talk about with some delicious new items. The first one is Bramblewood Bites, and I gotta be honest, there is one item on this menu that I thought there was no way I was gonna like. It was a cast iron seared river trout. And even I, someone who doesn't care for fish at all, was impressed with the preparation of this dish. The outside was salty and almost crunchy. It had a nice sear on the outside, but then the inside was perfectly flaky and juicy, not overcooked at all. It had kind of a buttery flavor to the meat. Now, I still didn't love the flavor of it because it was on the fishy side, but I appreciated how well it was prepared. Eric, on the other hand, loved everything about this dish. The fish is served on a base of vanilla butternut puree, and that part I absolutely love. It had a subtle sweetness to it. You could definitely taste the vanilla in there, but mainly it was just super buttery and delicious. There was also a Brussels sprout slaw that had some dried cranberries, which added just an extra touch of sweetness and a little bit of sour. All the flavors came together beautifully. I love the mix of textures, and I appreciated the perfect preparation of that trout. Next door at Mulled and Mulled, you're gonna find two new kids on the block that made our must-try list. And if you remember, we talked about this booth in our Fromage Montage video, and in our Déjà food video where we went back to returning favorites. Literally every single thing on the menu at this booth is a winner. But we're gonna talk right now about the two new items on the menu. First up is a butternut squash and ginger bisque. This is wonderfully warm and hearty with a subtle sweetness and lots of fall spices. You're gonna taste cinnamon and ginger in there. It's got a little bit of chili, I think. There's just a subtle kick, but it's not overly spicy. The main thing you're gonna get are those warming fall flavors like the cinnamon and ginger. On top are some toasted pumpkin seeds to give it a little bit of crunch. What I liked most about this one though was the balance of flavors. It was a perfect comfort food classic with a little bit of sweetness, some butteriness, and those warming fall spices. Next on our list from Mulled and Mulled was, I think, Eric's favorite thing from this entire festival. Is definitely in my top picks as well. It is an apple, cinnamon, and caramel mini churros sundae. So you remember when McDonald's used to deep fry their apple pies? Well, the combination of the mini churros with the cinnamon sugar and the apple pie filling, to me, tasted exactly like those fried apple pies from McDonald's of yore, but this time they're paired with vanilla ice cream and some dulce de leche caramel. This thing is a home run. And if you're nostalgic for the flavor of those old McDonald's pies, this is something you want to put on your must-try list. As churros go, I would say this is not quite as good as the best churros at Disney World over at Nomad Lounge, but outside of Nomad Lounge, these are among the best churros we've had anywhere, and they're definitely dressed to perfection with the apple pie, ice cream, and caramel sauce. We have almost made our way to World Showcase, but first we've got to make a pit stop here at Swirled Showcase. So this is basically right at the entrance of World Showcase going into Canada. They specialize in gourmet soft serve flavors, but they always have some sort of liquid nitrogen dipped concoction that is half mad scientist experiment and half delicious festival treat. Some of these end up better than others, and I'm happy to say that the one they're offering up this year is on the better side. It is a pumpkin cheesecake mousse that they dip in liquid nitrogen, which it's so fun to watch them make it. And then when it comes out of the liquid nitrogen, they kind of smash it. So you get the crackly, flash frozen outside, and then there's that soft, half melted inside. What I love about this one is the combination of textures, the crunchy outside, the soft, creamy inside. And I love the fact that this one is not overpoweringly sweet. You've got that cheesecake flavor, you've also got the pumpkin flavor, and you've got those warming fall spices that are mixed in. Think pumpkin spice latte spices. And then they're gonna top that whole thing with some caramel sauce that does add an extra layer of sweetness and some nuts to give it a little bit of crunch. While I wouldn't say this was my favorite dessert at this festival, it was one of my favorites. There's a lot of desserts on this list and on the lists of the previous videos, but if you're looking for something unique and inventive and you love pumpkin spice lattes and cheesecake, this is probably going to fit the bill perfectly for you. We have finally made our way to the World Showcase, and for those of you keeping score at home, you might be surprised. We've already covered 7 of our favorite new food items. That means that only 3 of our favorite new items came from the World Showcase this year. And that's kind of surprising because usually our favorite flavors from the festivals come from the countries of the World Showcase. This year, however, we kept running into the same issue over and over again. Even when we came to booths during the busiest times of the day, we kept getting food that just seemed like it had been sitting under a heat lamp for way too long. Most of the stuff that we got from the World Showcase this year just wasn't very fresh. And while it may have been really good when it was freshly prepared, by the time we got it, it was just not very appetizing. Now, it is true that most of the World Showcase booths are run by third parties. Disney runs most of the booths outside of the World Showcase, but here they rely on third-party vendors most of the time. And I do think that this year that maybe has been a problem because quality control just wasn't very good. Probably the biggest surprise was France. We waited in a massive line to get our food in France, so it wasn't like they had a bunch of stuff prepared and there just wasn't anyone there to buy it. They had just over-prepped things and kept them in a hot box. And take a look at what the escargot looked like when we got it. These snails look like they had burned to a crisp on the sidewalk somewhere before they were turned into a dish. Not the most appetizing, and what was unfortunate is you could tell some of these things were probably really good when they were fresh. So I hope this is a temporary issue. I hope this is something that's going to get addressed. But if you're surprised that there's not a lot of stuff on our must-try list from World Showcase, that was the reason why this year. I'm happy to say, though, that wasn't the case everywhere. There were 2 booths that had some delicious new items that we definitely think you should put on your must-try list. The first is here at Refreshment Outpost. This is essentially the stand-in for Sub-Saharan Africa in the World Showcase. They used to have a Kenya food booth over here, but now the African food you're gonna find is here at Refreshment Outpost and over at Morocco. The new dish this year was a berbere spiced beef stew. And what I loved about this one was it had some interesting spices, some unique flavors you're not going to find anywhere else, but it wasn't overpoweringly flavored. So the flavors were very mild. This is the perfect thing to try for folks who are maybe picky eaters. They don't like strong flavors, but you want to try something a little bit new. The base of this is mealy pap, which is very similar to what we call grits here in the South in the United States. If you're not a fan of grits, you're probably going to need to steer clear of this because mealy pap is basically really rich, buttery grits. On top of that mealy pap base, there is a braised beef stew. I will say when we got it, the beef was just a little bit on the dry side, but that could have just been the batch that we got. What I loved about it though was it was very tender. There wasn't a lot of fat. You had some tomato, some peppers, some onion, and then that berbere spice blend. If you enjoy the food that you get at Boma or over at Tusker House, you're definitely gonna love this. Although I will say this is a bit milder than the flavors you get at those other places. Our final stop is the American Adventure Pavilion, where you're going to find flavors from America, and you're also going to find two of our picks for the best new items at this year's festival. One of these picks was definitely an Eric pick, and the other one was a Rob pick. Let's start with the Eric pick. So if you're a big seafood fan, you're going to love this one, and I got to tell you, the line for this booth has been massive, primarily I think because of this item. This is what I saw most people ordering. It is the Gulf Coast style seafood roll. This one is super decadent. There's lobster on there, there's crab, there's a lobster bisque, and then there is a sherry creme fraiche. All of this is on a really buttery brioche roll, and if that wasn't enough, it comes with a little cup of melted butter. So you can dip the whole thing in melted butter. I gotta say, if you're looking for something that is over the top indulgent, this is probably the treat for you. Eric loved this one. He couldn't stop raving about it. This was his favorite item from all of the new items at the festival this year. I was surprised by how sweet this one was. The sauce had a little bit of sweetness, probably from that sherry creme fraiche, but I didn't care for all of the seafood flavor. I'm not a big fan of lobster or crab, so this one wasn't for me, but I could tell how if those were flavors that you love, this would be a pretty perfect way to enjoy them. Now, my favorite item from this booth was another sandwich. It was the New England slider. This is a slow braised beef pot roast with a spicy jardinera, horseradish cream, and crispy fried onions on a potato roll. And when they say that jardinera is spicy, they mean it. This is one of the spiciest things I've had at any of the festivals. I also loved the potato roll. It tastes very freshly baked, and they grilled it in a little bit of butter, which gave it, of course, a delicious buttery flavor, but it also gave it a nice crispy toasted edge that held up well against all the pot roast and other things on the inside. The pot roast itself was fall apart tender. If you're looking for a little quick sandwich on the go, this slider is a perfect choice. Of course, if you're more of a seafood fan, you might want to go Eric's direction and try that Gulf Coast version. Well, that is the last of the new kids on the block we have to talk about in this video. But at this point, we have now tried everything there is to try at this year's festival, and it is time to award the best of the 2025 Epcot Food and Wine Festival. We like to do this sometimes by creating a perfect meal. So we're going to choose our favorite appetizer, entree, and dessert. Starting with the appetizers, Eric and I were both in agreement, but we couldn't pick just one. So there are two winners in the appetizer category. Over in Canada, it is that amazing poutine. We talked about this one in our Déjà food video when we were talking about returning festival favorites, and man, is this one a favorite. You've got that base of perfectly prepared French fries, and then on top of that, there's fall apart tender braised beef. There's a mushroom gravy. There's cheese curds, and there's some Boursin cheese sauce. There's also some pickle relish to cut against the richness of everything else. This is the best version of poutine we've ever had at Refreshment Port, and it definitely deserves a spot on our best of the festival list. As much as we love the poutine, however, we kind of felt like we had to make this a tie because we also really loved the buffalo chicken dumplings over at Gyoza's of the Galaxy. This one is just really unique and fun. It's a great fusion of flavors. And if you're looking for something a little bit more inventive, maybe not quite as indulgent as the poutine, this would be a great pick. Now for the entree, Eric and I had completely different picks, unsurprisingly. Eric's pick for the entree was that Gulf Coast roll back at Flavors of America. My pick, however, was just down the road at the Belgium booth, and there you're gonna find the beer braised beef. There were a lot of braised beef items in our Déjà food video, and I think this one was the one I kept wanting to go back for. It was a little bit sweeter from the beer and also from the choice of vegetables that were in there. You were getting some sweetness from the carrot, and It just reminded me of grandma's kitchen. It just tasted like home. So this is a great comfort food classic if you're looking for something warm and filling. We also had a split decision on dessert this year. Eric's pick was that mini churro sundae. He could not stop talking about that one. But for me, the dessert I couldn't stop thinking about was from our first festival video this year, Emile's Fromage Montage. It was the Basque cheesecake from Spain. If you like that lighter Italian style cheesecake, you're gonna love this one. It also has a nice contrasting flavor with the orange and the orange peel. It's almost like a marmalade sauce. This one is pretty simple. It's a classic dessert, but it was super delicious. Last but certainly not least, it is time to pick our favorite booth from this year's festival. And actually, there were two booths this year that got perfect scores. Every single food item we tried, we loved and recommended. And those two booths are Mulled and Mulled over at Harvest Hollow, that's in the World Celebration area, and Flavors of America. At both of these booths, you can pick anything on the menu that looks good to you, and we can pretty much guarantee you're gonna love it. These booths were amazing this year. If you want even more recommendations for when you're here at Food and Wine, check out our first two videos on the festival this year. There was the Cheesiest video, the Emile's Fromage Montage video, and Déjà Food returning favorites. We sure hope you found these videos helpful in planning out what you want to eat when you're here for the festival. And if they were helpful, help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing to our channel, and ringing that bell. Before we go, I do want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting what we do here at Ear Scouts and making videos like this possible. If you'd like to join them, head on over to patreon.com/earscouts. And of course, I want to thank all of you. Thank you for watching. Until next time, don't forget to think happy thoughts, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.